Hello, good evening, travelers. Welcome, everyone, to One More Cup of Coffee, the Coffee and Culture's Genshin Impact lore podcast. I'm your host for today, JSide from the Genshin Guys podcast, but you can also call me Josh. And today, here with me is my co host, Gina. Gina, how are you today?
Oh, there I am. Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Oh, hi, Gina. Yeah, how are you? You're doing all right today?
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's Sunday.
All right, yeah, Sunday fun day, right?
Right.
so, and today our guest is fellow Genshin content creator Pixie. Pixie, welcome. How
Hello,
are? Hey. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm great. So before we get started talking about our content for today, I would just love to direct everyone to look at this beautiful new stage here that we have for the podcast here on Twitch. And look at it. It is brilliant. We have the I believe it's based in Sumeru, and maybe it's based off the Pupa Cafe. And it's really great design, aesthetic, colors, fantastic. So we want to thank Soph CQ and Reyes for making the chibis, for making the podcast stage. You can find Soph CQ at sophcq.card.co, and you can find Reyes at IltiArt on Instagram for commissions. Both links are going to be found in the chat. We just sent them there, or we're about to send them right now. And as far as YouTube viewers, you can see the links in the description as well. So, yes, brilliant new stage for those of you that have been following us for a long time. It is a nice change, and hopefully you all enjoy it. So, getting back to our topics for today. Before we get started, like with dipping into the Genshin content, I would like to get to know each other a little bit. Us, me, Gina, Pixie. So real quick, Pixie, like, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, who are you? Where are you based? What do you do? Like, what do you have? Like, what hobbies do you have? Like, just tell us a little bit about you.
I am from India, and in my free time, I like to sing, but ever since Genshin came out, I think I play a lot of Genshin, and now that Hoyoverse released a new game, I play a lot of that too. So yeah, mostly my hobbies include um, playing Hoyoverse games, I guess. And also, of course, like reading up on lore. I watch a lot of content on YouTube as well. So that's mostly how my free time, other than content creation, goes. But when it comes to content creation, obviously, I think a lot of my time goes into editing, trying out new ideas, writing lore videos. Yeah. So I do enjoy all of that. Yep.
Nice. Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, Genshin, Honkai Star Rail, right? That just came out recently, and just Hoyoverse games, right? It's very high quality,
Yep.
very fun. Lore, fantastic. Obviously, Gina, are you playing Honkai Star Rail at all?
I played up until I got my first 5 star. It was my wife, and then I said, I think I've gotten everything I need out of this game.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, there you go. I mean, everybody has their own way of playing games.
Mm,
There,
yep.
especially in the Hoyoverse games, like I've only played like a handful of Honkai Impact Third, but like just you know their games are very high quality, very cool. So, yeah. So thanks for sharing. So what about Genshin actually draws you in the most? Like, what gets you playing Genshin Impact all the time?
I think I've stuck with the game until now because I like the story and the characters so much. I think like the beauty of the gacha wears away very easily. Like as soon as you don't get the 5 star you want.
Mm-hmm.
So what makes you stay really is the connection you feel with all of these characters, and they're very well written, and they have very elaborate backstories, which I think I find all of them very charming. So I've continued to play the game. Yep.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, this is a lore podcast. We are going to talk about lore today, so that's a great point. I'm glad to hear that lore is one of your favorite parts about it.
Yep.
Now, like, what made you want to start making lore videos? Like, do you have a favorite story or specific lore from Genshin that you always love to find out new information about, hear theories about? Is there anything like that that sticks out to you?
I think when I started making videos, I didn't know if I could make lore videos. I wasn't sure if I knew enough. And after
Mhm.
I started making videos, I actually started reading even more about the lore. But I think it was probably Dainsliff and every appearance he's had that has drawn me to read more into the game. Like, I think before that, I did all the quests and I absorbed as much as I could from, the Archon quests and stuff like that. But every
Mhm.
Dainsliff quest just really raises your questions about, why is our sibling the way they are? And
Right.
it's I think that trying to find the answers to that, yeah. And I obviously also watched so many lovely content creators. Like Ashika, I think, was one of the first people I watched, and her videos are just so good. Like they really made me care so much more about the lore, I feel, even more than the game did. Like I think on a surface level I definitely cared, but you know trying to read the books in game, trying to read artifact descriptions, all of that, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, like we all dabble in Genshin content creation here, right? Us, and it's really, it's really nice to have a place to go that like kind of uh summarizes and collects all this information that's
Yes,
spread out
yes.
throughout Genshin, right? Because it's everywhere. It's in the books, it's in the NPC conversations, it's in the NPCs' heads when you scan them in Sumeru with Nahida, a
Yeah.
little bit here and there. So really, really crazy. Just how us content creators can kind of inspire each other to do stuff. I felt the same way when I started my podcast. Um I then because I had a podcast is why I wanted to start looking at more lore, and I just felt more driven. So I totally get that. Um, what about you, Gina? Do you have like a favorite piece of lore like from Genshin that you really like?
I really love the story of the battle pass and trying to figure out whose
Mm.
story it's telling.
Oh my god, the Welkins, yeah, the Welkin Moon,
Yeah,
and all this stuff. Yeah.
all that stuff.
One day, right? One day it'll all make sense.
Yeah, we still don't know like who the people are in the battle pass cutscene. Like
hmm
it's really hard to tell.
So many theories, right? Like so
Yeah, there
many.
are many theories about it. Yeah, and they haven't
Um,
bothered to confirm it.
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
not
I
so
think I think
curious.
one day it might just make sense. We might get a piece of lore that just connects to that, and we're like, oh my god, that's
Mhm.
that. But it's probably a while from now. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, and so the usually one question, the last question before we dive into our main topics for today, that I like to ask people is, who is your favorite playable Genshin character and why?
I
So,
like Ningguang a lot
Ningguang.
because
Ooh.
yes, I think she basically owns Liyue, and I think it's very inspirational to see someone like that. Yeah.
Yeah, she owns Liyue. I love that.
She
And what?
is Gaslight Gatekeep Girl Boss.
Yeah, what
Yep.
about you, Gina?
For me, I would have to say Dea or Ayaka.
Oh, Dea or Ayaka? Why would you say Dea or Ayaka?
I really love Ayaka. I started playing Genshin in part because I saw leaks of her back in 1.0, and I thought, oh, I want to play with that. I love her playstyle. I love her fan. I love her costume. I think it's beautiful. And then I love Dea because I have eyes, and she's beautiful.
You have eyes?
That's
I
a
love
very good
that.
reason. Yeah.
Yeah, that's legit. For me, it's Yoimiya because she
Oh.
just lights everywhere up wherever she goes. Like she's literally like that character, and I love that. Like
Yeah, she's lovely. That's true.
she's getting so much love too. The story quest that came out, and she's in like featured in this like summer event thing that's happening.
Yep.
The live thing. Um, so yeah, that's pretty interesting. But okay, but yeah, so great. I love talking about favorite characters. Could go on. I mean, all the characters are really, really great. There's somebody for everybody, and there's only going to continue to be more and more. And so yeah, let's dive into our topics for today. So today we discussed, and we will be talking about, we'll mainly be trying to stick on topic as much as possible by talking about Enkanomiya, as well as like the siblings' journey through Teyvat and Dane stuff, of course, which Pixie like just said is one of the reasons to be invested in the story at this point.
Yep.
So, so great. So to lead us into Enkanomiya and to start talking about that, Gina, would you like to go ahead and take the lead?
So I would be happy to. So in case you might have forgotten, because it feels like Hoyoverse has, uh, Enkanomiya
Oh.
is the island at the bottom of the ocean. It's in Inazuma, and I'm gonna give all of our viewers a very quick rundown of the history behind Enkanomiya because it's been a while since we've revisited it. I think it was the 2.6 event, 2.5 therein.
Yep.
Mhm.
Uh, so long, long, long time ago, before there were any gods into that, bishops and dragons ruled the land, and then a being known as the Primordial One emerged and sort of ended up challenging uh, the forces in charge and winning. Because of this war created by the Primordial One, bishops ended up leaving to live underwater. The Primordial One kind of serves as like the main god in Genshin, the original god, and goes on to create people. When the second throne of heaven, the second descender, the second person not of this world who visits Tevat, uh, enters, they clash with the heavens and the primordial one. Uh, and during that war, something happens, and Enkanomiya sinks into the bottom of the depths, and they end up struggling against the Vishaps. Uh, it's kind of implied that Istaroth, the god of time, is the only one who doesn't abandon those people because there's still wind that they can kind of faintly feel at the bottom of the ocean. Uh, and it's also implied that it is because of the wisdom of the god of time that Abaraku no Mikoto can build the fake sun, the Dainichi Mikoshi, so that they can have a leg up against the Vishaps and kind of restart humanity. So now that we have that out of the way, Pixie, what draws you to Enkanomiya?
I think the fact that it's one of the oldest regions that might exist in Tevat, like all of the architecture resembles the ruins that are spread across Tevat, but that's the only place where it's all in one place. It's not broken. I mean, it's still ruins, but it's like a piece of that kingdom just fell in. It's like this window to the past that which we still haven't uncovered, but it's a way for us to see what life used to be like then, what things look like. And I just love the colors of Economia as well. I think that's what really drew me in at the beginning. But the lore of it is just, it's so sad. The moment you walk in there, the music that plays in Economia, it's just so sad.
Mm.
And it's somehow also enchanting in a way. It's completely different from everything in Tevat. No place looks like that, and it's very sad for the people, but yeah, I think the mystery is what draws me in. Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of mysteries to uncover in Enkanomiya. I remember that when we talked to the specters, the humanoid people with no distinguishable faces that are kind of blue tinted, the little
Yep. Yep.
ghosties that are still haunting the place. And we uncovered the story of the Sun Children and how
Yes.
Enkanomiya's people kind of stopped living down there. I
Yep.
was like, oh god, this is so cool. I felt like I had a conspiracy board and I was connecting the dots.
Yeah. The
You
Sun
know, for
Children stuff is actually like really dark. I wasn't expecting that from Genshin. Like the fact that they like burnt those kids. Yeah.
oh yeah.
I want to
For
say I didn't expect it, but as someone who has played Honkai Impact the Third and Tears of Themis, uh,
Mhm.
I I'm not surprised by darkness in these games anymore.
Yes. Yes.
What
yeah,
were
so
you saying?
I like oh sorry. So I didn't really, so it's so funny because I mentioned this before. I think I've talked to some people about this, but like Inazuma's so dark. Like Inazuma's whole feel, like the bleak, the purples, the thunder, the death, the like it's such a depressing scenario, like for a lot of people that live there or whatever. And
Yep.
we were kind of exposed to that for a long time, like in the first like 3 point or 1, 2, 3 or whatever. Or was it 2.0? Yeah, 2.0, 2.1, 2. Whatever, up until Economia came out. And at that point, when Economia came out, I was kind of done with it. I was kind of like, this is so depressing. And now you're going to put me underground to learn more depressing stuff. And I was like, I'm going to wait a little bit. So I actually didn't explore Economia that much at the beginning. I was kind of like, I'll give it some time. And then the event came out, right? The like the Three Realms Gateway offering thing, like that event
Yep.
where it was all dark and you had to explore to be able to like clear through the event. And then I learned about the story of like with Enjo and about the Bishop people and about Sumi, and like I that's when I was so invested in Enkanomiya. And then after that I actually went back and after the event too and just like tried to go through Enkanomiya and learn as much as I could. But like I really love that they brought that story like front and center with that main event of that patch. And then like you said, it's like they forgot about it. Like this place is so important. Like I really want to learn more about this, but for me at first it was like I don't know if I can get into this Enkanomiya thing right now, but then they kind of brought it back for me. And still part of me like is still really sad that you cannot replay that event. Um
Yeah.
so like really hoping one day we can, but I mean it's definitely worth looking up on like YouTube if you haven't already seen it in my personal recommendation.
I can't wait to see Enjo again. We really need him in the story. Yeah,
Yeah,
he had he
he's
had the
good.
best lines. He was so funny.
We don't see villains in Genshin.
uh
Someone in
Oh
okay.
the Twitch comments mentioned that the snake people lore is also
Yes.
very interesting. Are you guys
yeah,
familiar with it?
Yeah, the
the Bishop
so
people,
we
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
It's
for
also like the way Enjo describes it at the end, it feels like it's like a common legend, but then there's also like some truth to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. For anybody in our Twitch chat or YouTube chat, I guess, who may not be so familiar with the Vishap people, as I mentioned when I was giving the quick little summary of Enkanomiya, before the primordial ones, it was kind of just elemental beings who ruled the world, including Vishaps and the seven sovereigns, who were like the strongest elemental dragons. And when the primordial one defeated all of the elemental dragons, there was a prophecy of sorts that they would eventually be reborn. And in that prophecy, it was included that the water elemental one would be reborn as a human. And so that
Yes.
made people wary of Vishap people. And it's also why there's a lot of interesting theories surrounding Kokomi.
Yes. I wish they elaborated on it. Like they didn't really explore that, which is
Yeah,
disappointing, but I
I
mean,
feel like Kokomi's whole thing is just like largely overlooked. Like Kokomi's main place in the story was to be like the war general who was opposing Raiden Shogun, and they do that story, but they don't like delve into like Kokomi's past, what she is, like
yeah.
more of the history of Watatsumi itself that doesn't involve Enkanomiya. Um, so like, I mean, I don't know. It's really I feel like I wish there was more highlighting of different things from
Hmm.
Watatsumi and Kokomi herself.
Maybe they're saving it for her second story quest.
We
True.
can only hope.
Yeah, we can only hope. I mean, Yoimiya got one. I thought only the Archons got second story quests, but then Yoimiya is, I guess, the exception.
I think they just like kind of what they did with Yoimiya. Like they're just waiting to get further in the story for us to know more before we start like checking
Hmm.
in on these characters for
True.
anything that isn't a limited event, right? Because we're constantly checking in with characters during the limited events, but they don't.
Hmm.
Weirdly enough, they don't necessarily progress the main story in any way.
Yep.
So if they have a story that they feel ties to the main, the main story, maybe then that's when they make the second quest. But I love like looking at the history of Genshin and just seeing how much they clearly decided to change the way that they introduce certain things um like you remember there were 4-star story quests like there were
Yeah.
there were
They
like
used to
Xiangling,
be.
Xingqiu like story quests, and then they just kind of like were not there, and then they came out with hangouts and they're like, oh, these are the 4-star story quests now,
Yep.
and all this stuff. So we never know, right? They could make story quests for 4 stars in the future, like
Yeah.
that aren't
Did you all
hangouts. Like
do the Kave hangout? Like, Did y'all do it?
I didn't do it yet.
I did.
No, I didn't do it.
Oh,
That was
it
another
has a bunch of like lore as well in it, like a few hints for the future, I guess. I don't know. I think you should do it. Yeah, it's pretty
one.
good.
Okay. I mean, you guys
Without
can talk about it
spoiling,
if you want.
without giving anything
Oh,
away,
yeah.
Pixie, you've done all the endings.
I no, I did three. Yes, I did three. Yep.
Did you do
But
one
then,
where you encountered Dory?
y- yes, I did that one. Yep.
I didn't know whether to laugh or cry at that point. I'm gonna keep it
Yeah.
real.
Say like my chat warned me against it. Like they did tell me how I would feel at the end of it, but then I was still pretty. Yeah. I had the same emotion. Yeah.
Oh no, I have to
But
do
it's
it.
fine. You should do it. It's good. It's good.
It's a lot of fun. It is Dory being Dory at one point.
Yes.
We can leave it
Yes.
at that.
Oh jeez.
True.
Yeah, and my chat like notoriously Dory's my least favorite character.
I think
I
a lot of people feel that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've met anybody who says Dory's my favorite. I'm ride or die for her. Please give me more Dory.
I
Mostly, I think
haven't
people
heard
say
that either. Yeah.
Dory content when? No, it's just like
never, please.
so like I'm not like a huge fan of like the sleazy market people like Sampo and Honkai Star Rail as well. Them just like,
Oh.
oh like the sweet talk you, but they're clearly lying, but my character like I don't know. It's like a weird thing. Um so but yeah, anyway, it's just a fun thing that Dory is I like Dory, like I like her design and like and stuff, but I just don't like her character, like her personality. Like I don't know what to tell you. But I see some people talking about meeting Kave's mom in Fontaine.
Yeah.
Um yeah, so
There's
like
some hints to that. Like there's some stuff in the hangout that, yeah, hints at that. So yeah,
I think it was
we
also
did.
briefly touched on in the previous event for the
Yes.
yes, how
what
his dad's dead. You know, spoilers, I guess. Uh,
no,
but his
what if Kave's mom is Cocolia?
Oh my God! What?
Kave's
Oh
Oh
mom is the
no!
primordial
or
one.
or Durandal or something. Like like this like character model from the other Honkai games.
That
Yes.
would
Like
be really cool though. Yeah. We were, when we heard about Kavi's mom, the only thing we were very worried about was her getting an NPC model. Because if she does,
mhm.
then she's not going to be very cool, right? Like, I
Yeah,
wish
exactly.
and hope
Like
like
Rainy.
she's playable. Yeah. Or she has a very pretty model.
Let's
Any of
pray.
those would work. Yeah.
Let us pray.
Because,
Someone
yeah,
in the
we
chat to
we
pray.
shall pray. Like she is described as pretty as well. So I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see, I guess.
I mean, at this point, if Kave's mom comes in as an NPC, it will just be disappointed, like just period,
Yeah.
because it's like it's Kave. Like you're gonna tell me this generic NPC character birthed this man and taught him his style? I don't think so. I don't buy it.
Speaking of Genshin moms that we're excited about, I'm very excited to meet Alice.
Same. I would remember that as well. We were like when we were talking about moms, yeah, because we haven't seen her model either. What if Alice is an NPC in Genshin? Oh
No,
What?
my
No,
god.
can't
no, no,
be.
no. There's no way. There's no
I,
way.
I feel like I will hear people cry, once
Like
that
I
happens.
would rather her be like Signora and just be this like character that like has this really cool design and then just dies before we can ever play her
Oh my
than her be an NPC model and not
god.
be
Yeah.
beautiful. You know
No,
what I mean?
I'd rather she
Yeah.
live, but honestly, same.
I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, I would rather she live,
I
but if I had
I
to pick
understand
between
what
her
you're
having
saying.
a cool
Yeah.
model and dying versus being an NPC and living forever, I'd rather her
Yeah.
just be a cool model and then never see her
Yep.
again. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Speaking of Senora, I'm very salty about her death. Like I yeah,
Are
why
you
did that
copium?
happen?
Are you like she's
I
gonna
don't
come back
know.
and
Maybe they
be
can
playable?
resurrect her. Like,
I was
there's a lot of.
copium. Oh, go ahead.
No, it's okay. You can go ahead.
Oh, you
It's
first.
fine.
I was to
No,
say.
I was saying there's a lot of time loop theories. So maybe we loop back to a time when she's alive. I don't know. Yeah, it's copium.
Super copium. It's like, oh my
I was
god.
copium up until like 3.2 or so because I'd heard like
Mhm.
rumors and murmurings
Oh.
i- in different Discord servers and different like
Hmm.
lore theory videos saying that oh the dead come back to life at night in Sumeru. And I thought,
Hmm.
"Oh, they're gonna bring Signora back. They're bringing her back. She's gonna show up in the desert in her coffin. She's gonna come back to life. It's gonna be the Rise of the Phoenix. It's
Oh
gonna be
my gosh.
beautiful and epic." And then, I think in 3.1 or 3.2, that was explained that that was uh,
Yeah.
the Crimson King,
Mhm.
legend that, as we all know now, is just that, a legend.
It's
And
just
I
yeah.
I realized they're not bringing her back, are they?
Oh no. All right. Well, we're going to Fontaine, so very possible if I was gonna pick one place in Teyvat to be able to have the technology to build a time machine, it would be
Yeah,
Fontaine.
that's true. That's true.
Even Frankenstein, just bring her back as a zombie.
Yeah,
Oh
no,
gosh.
or they could do like maybe the Senora that died was like a clone and the real
Oh
one's
my
alive.
gosh. Oh
Totore
my
decided to
yes.
clone
Oh
all
my
of the Pitsui.
well,
Yep.
think about it. He like well like he was interested in like her powers as like a witch and tried to like
Yeah.
experiment in like cloning her to make like an army of witches, but like
Yep.
the rest failed and this is the only clone that was successful, but the real one is
Yep.
sleeping in a pod somewhere. Oh my god, so much copium.
Yeah, that would be good though. I would be very happy. I feel like people would be mad, like it's a cop out, but I would still be happy. I'm okay with it. I just want to like I think Senora was one of the first characters, like, as you do the story, you see her kick Venti and everything, and I'm like, I thought, that even the villains are playable perhaps in this game. But they really, yeah, they said psych. That was bad.
Maybe we're the villains.
Yeah, oh, that's a good theory. That's a good topic. We just might be. Yeah.
And that's a great way to transition to talking about our Abyss sibling.
Yes. I mean, her actions are questionable, but I mean, has she done anything like diabolical yet in front of us that we've seen on screen? I don't think so.
Yeah,
I
walked
mean
away from us when we're trying to talk to her. Jeez.
I think the worst thing we've seen them do is, in the Chasm quest with Dainsleif, when they decided,
Mm,
activate the fountain, make it so that the hilly trails will lose their curse. I don't care if it fails, and
yeah.
then we see that failure involves a lot of like overwhelming pain for former
Yep.
citizens of
Yep.
Condria.
Yep.
But there's the argument that, oh, I don't want to see them in pain anymore, and this can take away the curse. It's worth a shot, and then
Mm,
didn't stay to see the aftermath. You know?
hmm. Also, we don't really know exactly what they did in Kandria. They could have pretty much brought about the cataclysm for all we know. Like, yeah.
I mean, you guys know about like the theory of like Teyvat being like literal hell, right? And like
Yeah.
Teyvat being upside down and all this stuff.
Guy's fake.
Um this
Yeah.
guy's fake, exactly. And so just like I don't know, like we don't know still the nature of our abyss
Mm,
sibling, and all we know is like and if you think about it from our traveler's point of view, it's like I'm supposed to trust my sibling because we've been through so much together, and so why are they so adamant about being on that side and not being on the same side? Like why can't we be on the same side, you know?
Also,
So
we
mm,
haven't seen any of the memories that like the main character, like the MC talks about, you know?
the ones in his
Like,
like constellations?
yeah, no, I mean, so we say throughout the story that, like the twins traveled together, but
Oh
then
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
we've never seen one memory of that. We've just seen them come to Tevat, we've seen them fight the sustainer or try to
Yeah,
fight the sustainer that went very badly, but
yeah.
they haven't really, yeah.
Yeah, there's that whole thing about the our traveler um withholding information from us, like not telling us because I mean maybe she doesn't have to, but um like we don't or maybe they're not telling Paimon everything. You know what I mean? Like they're not
Mhm.
talking about past adventures.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, they did hide the fact that they knew about Kandria as well. The first time
right.
we met Dane, yeah, they did hide that. So true.
So who do we trust, right?
Mm.
So like what about so thinking about Carrie Bear and like that quest, um, like what were your impressions of that? Because that was like a really big deal, right?
Yeah.
So like what stuck with you after that? Besides the sinner, I guess maybe like more about the siblings.
Yeah, I found the fact that Clotar said that, the Abyss sibling was the Abyss to the people of Kandria, like the implications of that. Like, was it just the fact that they were someone who didn't function according to the rules of Tevat, or it meant that, they had some sort of power that resembled the Abyss? Like, what exactly is the nature of these two? Because unlike us, at the beginning of the game, the travelers had their wings, right? They had their wings,
Mhm.
and they had, like, if you look at the element, so they've got these they've got uh Aether has the earring, and Lumine has a part on her dress where you can see which element she's in,
Right.
or her bracelet, right? But at the beginning of the game, they had no element; it was just white, right?
Mhm.
So when we meet when we meet the Abyss sibling, they are at that stage, like they have the white color on them, but we are not at the level of power that they're at, right? So both
Right.
the siblings, like, what exactly are they? Like, when they came to Tevat, how powerful were they? And, like, did they have the power of the Abyss? Did they have their own special kind of power?
Well, they can
I
make like
think,
light swords, right?
yeah, none of that is really explored, right? Because, I mean,
Mhm.
we are stuck with the weaker sibling. So yeah,
Oh,
who's
well,
who's
I
I
mean,
don't want to say it
I
like
guess
that.
so. I mean, like, there's like the what's it called? So first of all, elements, right?
Mm,
So I don't know how much you've thought about this, but I mean, oh, you probably have because you've played the other Honkai games. Like probably we will get two new elements in the future, right? Like abyssal
yeah.
energy and celestial energy, which are probably akin to like imaginary and quantum.
Hmm.
And like so essentially like I feel like maybe they have a power that's even beyond those. Or
Hmm.
unless because who was it? Dainsleif, right? Mentioned that there was like a power from beyond the stars to use to overturn the Celestia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So like and we'll definitely get to talking about Dainsleif more, but um like that like how powerful are they? Are we gonna get back to that level? Is our sibling already that level? Or are we going to
Yep.
get past that level? You know, that whole thing. Plus there's the whole dull blade thing. You know about that? Like
Yeah.
their normal sword that they just keep with them all the time. Um and like what if there is significance to that as well?
It's
Um
possible. I mean, I don't think they do anything without any reason. I think they're very
I think so too,
meticulous
yeah.
about the details. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. What about you, Gina? Do you have any thoughts on like Care Bear on that quest?
I mean, I think I have the same thoughts everyone else did. It was so depressing. I took 2 days
It
to like
was.
lay
Yeah.
down,
Oh yeah.
process what I just learned.
Yeah. You just like dug a grave for yourself in the
Mhm.
backyard under some,
I dug a grave for
fake
my dead
mushrooms.
wife or
Yeah.
fake mistress out in the wild, and then I harvested the flowers that grew over her grave to try and
You
treat
guys
my
saw that,
bastard
right?
son.
Like those materials that you needed were actually
Yeah.
different. Like they're not the materials that they say they are.
Mm.
I mean,
There was one that said you needed like a certain mushroom or something, but it said what it was, and we've seen what that is. Like, the flower, lotus flower, something like that. I don't remember.
Mm.
There was something there, but like it says it, but it's actually what you're looking at is something totally different. Like when you
Yeah.
pick up the object, like those things.
I after I did the quest, I was really convinced that Clotar killed his wife.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
because
that's kinda what it seems like.
it it's really odd that her body is under there, and then he's growing mushrooms on top of it, which he needed to sort of fix his son. Like,
Right?
it's very weird. It's really weird.
And
I thought that was very interesting, but also like morbid. But yeah.
if Clothar is a descendant, if Kai is a descendant of Clothar,
Hmm.
and Clothar's unless he had another son we don't know about, then that
Hmm.
means like that Caribert is like also a descendant. Kai is also a descendant of Caribert, and they
Yeah.
somehow broke the curse.
Yep.
And
And yeah.
yeah, like you said, these Danes love quests, man. They just they just turn your head totally around 180,
Yeah.
and you're just like, what's happening? Like,
he just shows up, and then we have questions, and he never answers them, and he leaves, and you're like,
Mhm.
wow. And it's just once a year. It's like this yearly event of just which you anticipate. This time it was crazy because Deedslip didn't even have that many lines. We spent way more time with like Clotar and Caribert, but yeah, it was pretty bad.
I
Mhm.
feel like every time Dainsleif shows up, it's like that Sailor Moon tuxedo mask meme,
True.
where he's
Because
just
it
like,
does nothing.
"You're
That's such a
welcome. You didn't do anything," and he disappears.
that's such a good example. That's true. That is exactly what he's like. Yeah. Oh my
D
god.
I love this in the chat. Dane slept the Archon of cliffhangers. That's
He
so
is.
good.
He
He
is.
actually is.
I wish he would just tell us what it is. But then I don't know. It's weird, but like I'm always trying to figure out everything at once. Like I want to know the end of the story. I want to know what happened. But
Of course.
also I love that it's really long. Like I want to grow with this. I don't want it to end.
Yeah. I
So
I mean,
yeah.
like, what I like is, and this is just a sort of, I guess, a video game sort of perspective, um,
Mhm.
but the game is just improving, like, over time. Like, the quality
Mm.
of, like, the cutscenes and, even I would say the writing in certain parts,
Yeah.
has just, like, vastly improved, and, we can kind of see it as we go along. And, yeah, I'm just curious to see, like, how it will be by the time we eventually get to the end, like, how crazy it will be.
I know. I think the anime should be out by then too.
Oh my
That
god, the
that would be
anime!
interesting. Yep.
The anime!
Do we know what the anime's gonna cover yet,
We
story-wise?
don't. We
We
literally
really
have no
don't.
idea. They should honestly just cover Lumine's journey. Imagine,
Yeah.
if Aether, like, canonically is, like, the
Yep.
Genshin protagonist and Lumine is the one who woke up first, then the anime exploring Lumine would be cool, but you wouldn't see all the favorite characters from the game, so it wouldn't make sense,
Mm.
like, for people to play the game after watching the anime because they won't get to play as any of the characters from the anime.
Also,
So
if they reveal her journey in the anime, it'll kind of spoil the game if you think about it.
oh, 100%.
Yeah.
They
Because
I mean
everything about her is a mystery. So yeah.
I mean, something they could do is, we've been given hints that don't outright, like, paint a picture for us, like, spell it out
Mhm.
for us, and they could do, like, you know how it's implied that, the golden Vara in the Aranara quest is
Hmm.
our twin,
Yep.
the
Yeah.
Naravaruna, and they
I
could show us,
just
like, how they dealt with it 500 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that those reveals though, especially the 500 years ago stuff, is just not gonna happen in the anime. I feel, to be honest,
Yeah.
because I don't know if you guys have you guys ever played or watched Grand Blue Fantasy?
Mm-mm. No.
So it's really cool because Grand Blue Fantasy is this mobile game. It's like a web browser game actually that's been around for a very long time, 9 years, and they had an anime. And the thing is, you can choose freely at any point to switch between the male protagonist and the female protagonist. And
Wow.
in the game, in the fighting game, they made it like original mobile game, it's just like you can choose either one, it doesn't affect the story whatsoever, right? Like it's just you're whoever you choose. It's like a preference. But in the story in the game, the video game, they actually introduced the male protagonist as the canon main protagonist, and
Mhm.
then the female protagonist came through like a singularity, like black hole sort of deal that like she kind of came from an alternate universe.
Hmm.
And it was really interesting how they did this because this like it gives me chills thinking about this. The way that they perceived it is like when this female version of the main character shows up in the world where the male is the canon main character, um, because they are literally the same person,
Hmm.
and the only difference is like one is male and one is female. Um, all of the friends of the main character in that world also recognize the female. They just like their memories are like jumbled because they like have memories of being with both people. Like, the
Wow.
memories of the characters from both worlds kind of combine. So they're like, "Oh, yeah, you're our captain. Oh, but you're also our captain. Why do I have memories of this with you, and why do I have memories of with this with you?" And so they kind of, like, have this weird, cool, like, they coexist as the same
Mhm.
person in the same universe. Um, and I just thought, like, about that in terms of, like, the siblings and how interchangeable they really are, because I know there are theories
Hmm.
about, like, the fact that like you can pick either one and maybe it's canon that you can pick either one because there's a cycle that happens
Yep.
and you would be breaking the cycle and that's kind of the point of the game. So like actually Lumine and Aether are like sort of canon, like both of them in both positions.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's crazy. And then like the other thing I wanted to mention was that like in Grand Blue in the anime they followed the main story of the main guy character, but then they added some extra episodes at the end, which were like kind of what if story episodes of like different situations, but if the main character was the girl character. So like we could possibly get an anime where half of the episodes are Lumine as the main character and half of the episodes are Aether as the main character. You know what I mean? Like
That would be
so
really cool.
yeah, I would love that. So um but yeah, that's just the most interesting. If you ever want, like, you can look it up. But that's like the most interesting case of like, how do we accurately represent like the male and female protagonists of a game in
Hmm.
like a work of art without just picking one? Like,
Hmm.
like they do in like Persona 3, like they pick the
Yeah.
male character because he's canon and like all this
Or
stuff.
the Fate Grand Order animes.
Or Fate,
Mm.
oh my, literally any Fate, like anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Um, yeah. So that's just one thought I had about the anime. But I wonder if Dainsleif will show up in the anime.
That would be so cool. Oh my
Imagine
god.
it ends with like the upside down statue of seven.
Oof.
The freaking Archon of cliffhangers, am I right?
I still can't believe that we're having an anime because that's all I've wished for ever since I started playing Genshin. I'm like, please, I wish someone would just animate this. Like, it would be so
Right?
cool. Yeah. I never thought it would actually happen. Yeah.
That's why it
It's
was a big deal.
amazing. Yeah. And Ufotable animating it.
Yeah,
That's like
it's even
I
so
know.
by
good.
the Fate and Demon Slayer people.
I
Like,
I trust
do.
no one more than Ufotable to do a
Yep.
good job.
Yep. They're
yeah,
gonna do such a good job. It's
they did
it's
God
too
Eater
good to be
too. That's
true.
good.
Yep. Yeah, someone in chat is saying that, Archon War in the anime is possible because there's a
Ah,
lot of
yeah.
stuff written about it too. Like, we do know a lot about the Archon War.
Well,
It
here's
would
the
be
thing, right? You got to think
interesting.
about it this way. Like, do you think that they would put lore that is like the reveal lore that is hinted at in the game in the anime, forcing you
Hmm.
to watch the anime to learn about the game? I feel like they wouldn't do that. I feel like they
Hmm.
want people to play the game. So to play the game, they will show the game as an anime, and then people watch the anime and they'll be like, "Oh, I want to play the game." But I don't know if they'll be
Hmm.
like, people who play the game have to watch the anime so that they know the story. I don't know if they'll do that. They could. They very well could.
I mean, they did
Hmm.
kind of do that with the webtoon.
They
Yeah.
well, the webtoon. So I heard that Genshin. I heard from Island XD that the Genshin started as a webtoon.
Yeah.
Like
It
Genshin
did.
was
I don't know
supposed
if
to,
I don't know if it's accurate to say it started as a webtoon because Hoyoverse, historically makes games. I think they did a promotion for Genshin with
Hmm.
webtoon, like
They
prior to launching the
probably
game.
Yeah, they were probably already working on the game and then they launched it back then so that people would be interested in it. Because I know that at least on the Webtoon app, when it came out, people were just reading it like another Webtoon. Like, they didn't know whether it was related
right,
to a game or anything. So you
right.
can, in fact, you can literally read the comments of people being like, what's going to happen after this? Why did they just stop? Like,
Yeah.
Translating it
so,
into English.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
I think,
they
yeah.
never even finished translating it into English, right?
Yeah, they didn't.
No, if you want to finish reading it, you have to translate it yourself and not look up less legal means online, which you
Yeah.
can't
Mhm.
find and we don't condone.
Yeah,
Mm. Yep.
exactly, that thing. So
Yep.
yeah, but the thing is like, so it's weird because there is lore in there that is relevant to Genshin, but I'm wondering because of how much they've already gone back on the way they do lore revealing. Like I said, 4-star story quests that don't exist anymore. Um
Hmm.
like the way that they're deciding to give people the story. Um would they make you watch the anime to learn parts of the story that they've hinted at? Like, are they saving those parts of the story for the anime, or are they saving those parts of the story for later in the game? Because if they reveal really, really big major things in the anime, um, then what about the game? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
then
that's
wouldn't you
true.
want to experience the Archon War in the game? Like,
Hmm.
play through it or like see like a cutscene memory that is like the reward for beating a really hard boss. Like, wouldn't that make more sense? Like, I could imagine like an Enkanomiya episode, you know what I mean, where
Mm,
they like talk about the background of Enkanomiya because it's not like
mm.
super related to what's happening. But I think the Archon War is central to the story of Genshin. So I feel like they wouldn't reveal it in anime, but you never know. And I say all of this, but I would freaking love to see Ufotable anime in Archon War. So
I
like,
know.
yeah, I mean, Fate literally it'd be like watching a Fate episode. It's like
Yep.
watching an Archon War. Like I would be so into that.
Maybe they'll do something with Vanessa because something Ufotable exceeds at.
Oh my
We've seen it
god.
with Demon Slayer. We've seen it with UBW in the
Yep.
Fate
Yep.
franchise. It's like 1v1 dueling, you know, or
Yeah,
like
that would be
not
cool.
not necessarily 1v1, but like small groups versus small groups instead of like massive armies type of
Oh my
scenarios.
god. Can you
And so
imagine
like
it's just the
gladiatorial
Mondstadt lore? Like the whole
gladiatorial
anime is just
arena.
Mondstadt.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
they do love Mondstadt lore though. I feel like Mondstadt is Hoyoverse's favorite region.
Oh
Like
yeah, I mean,
Liyue is their favorite in terms of like characters and details, but Mondstadt is their favorite. That's why they haven't expanded on it. They're like saving all of the
yeah.
good stuff
There's
for
we
later.
haven't seen half of it. Like
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Mondstadt is
literally.
snow you think Mondstadt is that small? There's no way. So,
It isn't. They haven't just like they've talked about regions that are in Mondstadt, but then we never see
yeah.
them.
Yep,
Yeah.
Will
yep.
I see when Mihoyo?
I
Yeah.
know.
Oh my
When the
gosh.
story quest 2 when Mihoyo? I don't know.
Yes.
Where is it? I feel like it has like the craziest secrets in it that
We
they don't
need
want
we
to
need
reveal.
we need the second part of Lisa's story quest.
True.
We need
True.
to know about the book, the Sun and
Yes.
Moon.
Oh my god. Speaking of Lisa's story quest, of course, the Pale Princess and the Six Pygmies, right? Like that
Right,
book
right.
hasn't released. Like they
Oh,
just released
true.
one volume and the rest of it is just not there, which is and the Abyss Order was looking for that book, so it was obviously very
Maybe they
important to the
have the
lore.
rest. Maybe they have a couple
Yeah,
of other volumes that we have
I
to
don't
take
know. Yep. Or maybe
because it
the
reveals
other
the secret.
volumes have like yeah, the other volumes probably reveal the entire story. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know.
Find it
Or
really interesting how we keep seeing the Abyss trying to steal books because that happened in Enkanomiya as well as the
Yeah,
Lisa story quest. And
yeah.
like we learned from Naida during the Wanderer's quest, books can continue to hold on to information that's been erased from Irminsul.
right.
And so I'm
Yep.
wondering, what does the Abyss know that we don't?
Well, books
Yes.
are just so freaking important. Like
Yeah.
it's so crazy. That story quest is just mind blowing. Like the Nihida like rewriting with Irminsul, all that, learning about that
Mm,
and experiencing that is mind blowing because it suddenly made you look at every single piece of lore that is written down, especially books
mm.
that are like fairy tales, as like something totally different, right? Like, like what does this mean? What is this really like? You know, and
Yeah,
you like start
you have
second
to
guessing
over
everything.
analyze everything now. Like we
Yeah,
already did that, but now it's
yeah,
legitimized by Hoyo, so
yeah,
we have to do it.
yeah. Now we have to read between
Yeah.
lines and stuff. It's
Have you
I
crazy.
all read Vera's Melancholy? That book?
Oh no.
yes, Vera's Melancholy and Bork Princess are two that
Yeah.
I keep rereading.
They both are really like I mean, Boar Princess is still. I feel like Vera's Melancholy is so absurd a story. Like when you read
Mm-hmm.
it, but then it could just be the story of Genshin. Like, but then what is what, right? We don't know that. Yeah, it's very weird. But I feel
I,
like they will be brought up later. Yeah.
you know how one of the witches from the Hexen Circle is also like a
Yeah.
book author? I wonder if
Yep.
she's also connected to like making sure parts of the lore stay alive in spite of Irminsul.
Yeah. It seems like if you see the cutscene of Hexen Circle, like uh there's a table and there are stars around them and there are these white branches, right, that keep creeping up, which I feel like they all are somehow connected to preserving the information in the Irminsul. And like they volunteer to do it perhaps, but then they have some, all of them have some connection to it for sure. Like Nicole can tell when some change happens, right? Which is why she sort of tells the traveler, like right after, I think the Archon quest, yeah. No, it was Wanderer's Interlude Quest. Yes, when we erase the memories, like right
Right.
after that, Nicole, you hear Nicole's voice, and
Right,
she
right, right.
already knew. About like, it's if she's from Tevat, how can she know that something happened? Like, does she have a way to figure out when a change happens?
I think the Hexen Circle, like their primary purpose originally, before they became tea time ladies, which is very valid and very cool of them, was
Yep,
to
yep.
keep track of Irminsul and
Yes.
any changes they're in, and making sure the branches aren't withering away and anything like that.
Right.
So it's interesting to see what kind of connection they have to Irminsul and the history of Tivat, because if
Yeah.
they can access it the same way that Naida can, in spite of them not being an Archon, then that opens up more questions. Who else can mess with the information within?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that. Yeah, they definitely implied that. Whole like they somehow, we don't know how, but they can tell when there is a major change to
Yeah.
the Irminsul, and so that's why she like reached out. But how does that work? I don't know.
I
We'll
mean,
find out eventually.
they are witches, so yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like
So I guess the
magic in
explanation
Tivat
is
is
magic. Yeah.
yep.
Magic. That's
There's
how.
yeah. It's the easiest plot device at this point. We can't explain it any other way.
Mhm.
True.
It's very much the sonic screwdriver of Tivat. Just anytime you're backed into a corner, did I mention it
Yeah.
can do this? This is
Oh,
magic now.
yeah.
True.
Hashtag Doctor Who reference, right? Wait, is
You
that
gotta
what you're
make a
referencing?
Doctor Who. Yes, that
Okay.
is correct.
Um, yeah, so yeah, we'll see. I mean, like when it comes to this, like the Hexen Circle specifically, like what we still don't even know the names of like two witches, probably, right? Isn't there like, if you look at the cutscene, there's like what, eight or seven
Yeah, there are a
people,
lot
but we
of
only
them.
know
We
six
know very
names.
few of them, yeah.
Yeah, I
The
think we
ones
know.
that were introduced during the event, yeah, that's about how many we
Hmm.
know. True.
Right.
You know,
So
they
weird.
can have successors, but are they part of Hexen Circle? You know, like is Klee technically one of them? I don't think she
Hmm.
is, but it's Mona.
Hmm.
Right. I mean,
I
it
feel
looked
like
like,
Mona
it
will
sounded like,
be.
yeah, it sounded like they have to accept the mantle, and like just because their masters were part of the Hexen Circle doesn't make them part of the Hexen Circle. They have to like,
Yeah.
they have to inherit, they have to like go and get it, basically. Like from what's her name was doing from Jay, right? Um
Hmm. Yeah,
she
yeah.
went there and like was like,
Scarlet. Yep.
yeah, she's like, "Do you recognize like I like, I don't know." She's like, "Alice, I wanna be, maybe I wanna know about the Hacking Circle." And she's like, "Do you wanna be part of it?" She's like, "I don't know yet. I just wanna like know about it." And she's like, "Okay, well, you seem more adamant about it than your other than her other successors, so maybe let's talk sometime," or something like that. And then,
Hmm.
so it seems like you kind of have to go through it. I mean, it seems like
Yeah.
Alice is kind of in charge, honestly, but I don't know. It's weird. Alice is weird.
I mean,
Yeah,
you
she
know,
is.
she's the one responsible for turning the Storm Terror ruins into ruins. They were perfectly preserved for anybody who hasn't read the Tibet
Yeah,
Travel
yeah.
Guide Mondstadt.
Oh, yes, 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 that's right.
It
I
was
did
like
read that.
fully intact, beautiful, and she was like, "These are meant to be ruins, and they don't look very ruined to me, so I'm gonna blow them up." And that's the reason they're like that.
That's very
So
Alice of her, though. Like, that's something she
Classic
would
Cleese
do.
mom.
classic
Yeah.
police mom. So you know, if she said, "Hey, I'm in charge now," I would just accept it. I'd say, "Thank you for sparing me," and yes, you are.
Please don't
So
blow me up,
true.
crazy witch lady.
Yeah, it's also weird how we've heard about Alice and even Mona's master for so long in the story, but we have seen nothing of them yet. Like
Which is what,
how
that it's so funny because the chat right now, like she keeps changing her voice when she speaks to others in Klee. Like
yeah,
that
yeah.
part bothered me so much. Why did she imitate literally every other witch before, when she answered the teapot, not knowing who's on the other side? Okay, like that's so sus. Like,
It
you're gonna tell
is.
me that she was just like, "I'm just gonna pretend I'm someone else because I don't wanna be myself," and then she just, like, picks every other witch? Like, what if there is no Hexen Circle and it's literally just Alice?
Yeah, and
Because Mona's met the old hag.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what if it
That's
was her? Like, what if it was literally her, but she changed herself and she
True.
goes around teaching people, and
Cosmic
so,
Mona's
you
master.
know, eh, like that's so sus to me that she comes like that the first thing she comes onto, like she has this whole facade. Maybe, maybe she clones herself. Maybe she like just makes
Yeah.
magic
OG
clones of
Dottore.
herself. What?
Yep.
Oh, OG Dottore, since he
Oh,
came
OG
Yeah.
Dottore. Yeah, she
Yeah.
does
She
magic
did
Dottore,
first.
right? Yeah, she just does it, and she's like, imagine the complete picture of the Hexen Circle in that teapot, that tea party table place, like that's up in the sky during
Mhm.
that event, and it's literally just a bunch of different Alices around the table. You know what I mean? Like, I, like, yeah, that's just so sus. Like, I don't know
You might be
why
onto
they would do that.
something. They might pull it off. Why not? Like
Yeah,
it's
because
No,
it's
it,
it
it
would be
was it
very
was
interesting.
it was weird for her to imitate everybody. Like, you just
Yeah.
do that? Like, you just imitate your friends when when no one's home? Like, it's so weird.
if she
I wouldn't.
is if she is just kind of cloning herself, that has very interesting implications about Klee because we know all about her mom, Alice.
Yeah.
We
Mhm.
know absolutely nothing about her dad. And so if it's possible
Yeah,
for Alice to
Yeah.
clone herself, then it's
yeah.
possible that
There you go.
Klee is her daughter, quote unquote, but it's actually more like a
Yeah, but
chimera
her
clone, I
her
will say.
dad isn't even like dead, you know? Like her dad's still around somewhere. We don't know where
I
though.
think Klee says
Supposedly.
my parents are adventurers, but then we
Yeah.
only ever
Yeah.
hear her talk about her mom.
Yeah, her dad is just around. Who knows? What if
The
it's
other thing is, like,
someone we've already met?
Ryan daughter could be just a person though. I feel like maybe it's just Alice and Ryan daughter, and then Alice
True.
is just everybody else.
My
Yeah. Oh
daughter
my
is
God.
a
Speaking of
person.
Ryan daughter, yeah, she's so
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah,
I'm
I
so
love that.
interested in her and Albedo and
Yep.
all of
Oh
the
my
lore
god,
surrounding them.
Albedo! Albedo, please. More Albedo story. Come on.
I
I
can't
can't
believe,
believe he had 2
yeah,
limited events that were
we did
just
have
his
another
son.
one this year though. I can't believe they didn't give him a third one. I'm a little upset
Oh,
about that.
yeah.
Yeah.
We need an
Yeah,
Albedo
well,
story quest every Christmas.
Yep, we do.
yeah, how else can we enjoy Christmas, right? So, yeah, so, I mean, Albedo, so we have some Albedo theories. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about Albedo, when we come back from the break, which is gonna be very soon. Um, and then we will also, when we come back, talk about Dainslev.
Mhm.
And there are some things I want to mention about Dainslev, some theories I'm curious to hear your thoughts on. And yeah, we'll see. Like, just, we'll follow this. Let's see where our talking leads us, because we've already gone over like 3 different events, limited time events already now that we're talking
Yep.
about. So yeah, and I think I think these discussions are really important to have, because, like we said, you can't replay these. So it's very
Yes.
easy to forget about them. And as a newer Genshin player, unless you go and look up, okay, I'm gonna go watch all the events in order. You know what I mean? Like, you will miss it.
Mm,
Like,
yep.
chances are, if you're here listening to this, you've probably already seen all of them, because those are the kind of people that come here, as people who are already invested in the lore. Um, but hey, just as a reminder, right? We need to bring these up. Like, is our job as
Yep.
Genshin lore content creators to bring up this interesting information that's only limited. So, yeah, so we'll prepare for that. We'll be taking a short break. It will be about a 5-minute break. So if you are yeah, if you want to get a drink, go to the bathroom, take a quick break, stretch, definitely stretch if you can. Then we will be back to talk more about Genshin lore. So, yes, so then in that case, we will go ahead and get started with our 5-minute break. We'll see you very soon. Okay, welcome back everyone to our episode of One More Cup of Coffee, and with our guest Pixie. So yes, so how are you doing so far, Pixie? You doing all right? First time on the
Yes.
show?
Yep. I'm doing pretty good, yes.
Great. Gina, what about you?
I'm having a great time finding out what everybody in chat's favorite bit of lore is.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, I'm seeing some stuff. I'm like, man, I want to talk about Chang Sheng and Baiju, and I want to talk about talk about Kitsune Saigu and Venti. Oh my god, Venti, who only wakes up when bad things happen. Okay, never mind. So let's let's go back to what we were talking about. So we were talking about Albedo for a little bit. Is there any other things you want to mention about Albedo, like thoughts and things like that? Pixie?
Albedo sort of when during his first quest, that when we meet him during the first limited event, he sort of compares himself to the traveler, and he says like we're both similar in some way,
Mm.
and that really made me feel like one of the travelers or both of them might just be clones as well, like just artificial beings as well, because they're also very different from everyone in Tevat in the way they work. So yeah, I've
Hmm.
always had that. Yeah. Like it's so interesting that he would say that because he seems to know more than he lets on for sure. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so mysterious. And I remember like when during that Windbloom event,
Mhm.
I love how like Alice was like, "Oh, I bet you already figured everything out, Albedo." And he's like, "No."
Mhm.
Like I figured it out like later or whatever. And just like how much I mean, especially someone like Alice puts faith in Albedo in knowing and being able to figure out things, and like Albedo's mission, right, to like discover the truth of this world, um, is has really big implications, honestly. But what about you, Gina? Any thoughts about Albedo that you want to get out, Gina? Okay, we'll come back to you, Gina. So, um,
Oh, you're right. I
and
was muted.
Oh no.
Oopsie doopsie.
so yeah, so Albedo.
Yes, Hoyoverse, if you're out there, if you're listening, please make him interact with Kaya more often, because they're both
Mhm.
Conrians. They both know something, and neither of them is saying anything.
Yep.
Hey, they just meet up and they're just like, "Hey, I'll take a death in the afternoon,"
That would be so good.
right? And
It's
Albedo's like,
also
"No, thanks, I don't drink." I'm like, okay.
it's also interesting that Albedo was left with this mission to find the truth of the world, right? Like by Ryan daughter told him to do that. And
Hmm.
when we meet our sibling for the first time, like after everything happened, after we see the upside down statue and everything, our sibling also says to us that when you realize the truth of this world and how everything is, like you will understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. So technically both of us are sort of looking for the same thing.
Yeah, so I wonder if that journey. Look, I'm like wary of this being even applicable in the future at all because Albedo only shows up in
In limited
like
events, yeah.
in limited events, and he has his one story, but like that's it. The bulk of his story
Hmm.
came from limited events, and that's really concerning if you really want to see Albedo be part of the main story. I think it'd be
Hmm.
really weird if they just like what's it called gave him like a really big part in the story that has to do with his backstory that was only in limited events. Like it's kind of
Hmm.
like how Scaramouche came in and he was only in that one event in 1.2,
Yeah.
and and then he became a main part of the story. Well, you didn't really need to know like what happened in that event because he was only there briefly. Um, but and they refer to it, but like for Albedo, it's like his whole story so far has been in the event. Like you interacting with him,
Hmm.
his clone, like the things he's told you about Ryan Daughter, about his mission, the things we learned. Like if you are a new player to Genshin, you can't know that. So unless they're
Hmm.
planning on actually letting you replay event stories in the future, which they could be,
Yeah,
um,
they did do
then
that in
I'm
Star
worried for
Rail.
it to show up.
Yeah, they did that
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Star Rail. So maybe
yeah, and I hate that. I hate that it came out in Star Rail first, but
a lot
I'm
of
glad that
features
it's
did.
there at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. 4.0, we're praying 4.0 has quality of life updates that we want. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Basically
Those are
everything
the
from
best.
Star Rail. Just give us everything from Star Rail.
Yeah, it's like they took all the feedback from Genshin and then they implemented it in Star Rail, but
Yeah.
Genshin's
Maybe
still the same.
you know what would be funny? Like someone at Hoyoverse messed up and the link that they put for the surveys went to Star Rail before the game even came out and they thought it was from the beta.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, "Wait, did you what about all those changes what about all those surveys we got?" "Oh, yeah, I sent them in." "Oh my god, you sent them to the Star Rail folder. They did all the things over there." Oh my god, can you imagine?
Yeah. That
That'd be
would that would
terrible.
be really funny.
Hoyoverse
Oh,
taking care of Genshin players as opposed to Honkai players feels very much like that meme where it's a mom with
Mm,
children and it's like, "Mommy, which one of us is your favorite? Oh, I love you both equally." And then one of them walks away and she holds the other one close and goes, "And it's you
yeah.
by a long shot."
Or
true.
like the kid that's drowning while they like pick up the other kid. Like that meme. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um yeah, I mean we know that Hoyoverse like loves Honkai, like their story, with Kiara and everything, like all this stuff. Like we
Mm,
know that that's they've paid special attention to that. But I mean, Genshin is the moneymaker. Genshin is the one that gets around. It's like very, very accessible. It's a lot of people are interested in it. You see Honkai Star Rail, and it's great, but it's not Genshin. And it's a different kind of game. It's like way more mobile gamey, like way more phone gamey, way more like
yep.
auto battle centric. Like it is cool and it has cool things. But even now, like I've been playing it and it's just not much to do once you do what it has to offer. In Genshin, you can just keep going and there's so much stuff. And oh my
Yeah.
god, if they add divine ingenuity permanently, like this game will have infinite replay value. Um
Yep.
but uh but yeah, it's like it looks like that I think we have to wait. We have to wait to see if 4.0 really has a lot of major changes because if they don't
Mm,
and somehow Genshin falls behind Honkai Star Rail in quality of life,
mm.
then that's not a good sign, I think, for Genshin
Yeah, for
quality of life anyway.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm also hoping Honkai Star Rail gets like multiplayer raids where you can go in with your party and then other people can go in with their
Yeah,
parties and you
I
guys
wish
fight
there
a boss
was
together.
co-op in Honkai Star
Yeah.
Rail. It would be really nice. But
Yeah. I hope
I feel
so.
like they wouldn't do it. I don't know. Cause like how do you do co-op in a turn-based game? Cause like
There's a
how
lot of
long
ways
like how would they decide how much time to give? Like will they put a timer on like until this
on
time
the
you have
turns.
to
Yeah.
yeah, you have to yeah. They'd have to do that, right?
Well, there's multiple ways. Like I don't want to get into it now because it would take a long time to explain. But like
Yeah.
the game I mentioned before, Grand Blue, you can have up to like 99 people fighting one boss simultaneously.
Wow.
Like so, and that's like a game that came out 9 years ago. So there's
Hmm.
there's definitely ways to get around it. Like for example, if you take too long to do your moves,
Hmm.
then you just do less damage to the boss, so you get less score at the end. You know what I mean? Like there's stuff
Hmm.
like that.
Hmm.
Or there's like a window you have to do it like within 30 seconds or something.
Yep. Yep.
Anyway, they can definitely do it, right? If there's anyone that has the resources and the funds
Yes.
to do this right now, it's the number 10th most financially profitable game company in the world or company in the world. I don't remember, but I saw an article recently that said they're like number 10
Hmm.
for profitable companies, and it's Hoyoverse, and so
Yep.
they could do it if they wanted to. So
Mm.
But do they
we'll
want
see
to is
how
the
it.
question.
Do they want to? Yeah,
That's
that's so.
exactly it. Or do they wanna give well, the thing is it right, like, it's for Honkai Star Rail, so maybe they want to, it's not Genshin, it's Honkai. So, and then they have, Zenless Zone Zero coming out eventually,
Yeah.
which, gameplay-wise, I'm super interested in, but,
Mm-hmm.
I think they had to redo the whole thing because, like, there was so much feedback about, like, the menu system, um,
Mm-hmm.
like, in the beta, so we'll see how all these games come out, how they all coexist, and if they
Mm-hmm.
all affect and how they all affect each other. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we'll see. But
Yep.
uh, what were we talking about? So we were talking about Albedo
Yeah.
somehow and got all the way here. But um, Yeah, so let's talk about Dainsleif because I feel like we could talk about Dainsleif forever. And so what are your like initial like top of your mind thoughts about Dainsleif, Pixie?
Mm, okay, I think Dainsleif is somehow like physically connected to the Irminsul because his
Mm,
arm has these weird like blue veins running through them, like all of his body. Like it's obviously cursed. It could be like a manifestation of the curse that's on him, but
mm-hmm,
like it's really weird that he has really sloppy memories which keep coming back whenever like there's this part in the chasm as well. This is like really something I retroactively figured out. Like when I was doing the event, I didn't pay attention to it, but then when I rewatched the event, uh, when Dainsif sees Half Done in the chasm event, he
mm-hmm,
notices him and then he sees that Halfdan might remember something about Kandria. Obviously, all of the people that were cursed ended up losing their memories to a great part,
mm-hmm.
and in fact, losing their minds even. But Dainslev says, how does he remember without it? Like, there's a line which says that. And I was like, what exactly is it? Like, is it Irminsul? Like, does he have like a special connection to Irminsul that lets him remember stuff? And like he randomly gets stuff occasionally. Like even the Clota quest, right? He just one day randomly woke up and he's like, I just got this memory in which I remembered that, you know, Clotar was the founder of the Abyss Order. And I thought
Right.
about the Loom of Fate. Like, how does he randomly get these uh, memories back? How does that work?
I mean, how
I
is he
would
alive for so long?
I mean, all of the Kandrians are cursed with immortality. So like that,
they are.
that's yeah.
Well, I mean, like the whole like they're cursed with immortality, but like they don't maintain their sanity for as long as he has, right?
Not all of them. So basically, in the Caribbean quest, what Clota told us was that uh, the Hilichurls and the ones that are affected, and those who do not have any of their memories and they're losing their minds and slowly, like their mental state is deteriorating, they are not pure blood Kandrians. But the pure blood Kandrians, they did retain all their memories. But the curse does sort of wear away at them. Like, even
Mm-hmm.
Clotar was not mentally stable in any manner. Like, and that was obviously
Right.
because
Well,
of
what
all
about
the horrible
Halfdan?
things. Half, I guess
Halfdan's
he
not
was,
full.
he was, yeah, I guess he was not a pure blood Kandrian. Yeah, that could be
So,
the only
so
explanation.
yeah, like because all the so you're saying like all I think it's weird to think that all the guards are like not pureblood Conrian. Like
Hmm,
like there's only a handful of pureblood Conrians? Like,
I
that's,
mean,
like
im-
you
why
know,
aren't there more of them just around?
I didn't think about this before, but what if Dane is connected to some royalty in Kandria? Like, that's why he's a pure blood Kandrian and everyone else isn't.
to me, uh, especially because why guards aren't pureblood Conrians.
Mhm.
Usually nobility doesn't need to go into knighthood in order to like take a
Yeah.
living or whatever, and so it makes sense that
Oh,
they
that's
might be
true.
like
Hmm.
pure-blooded. And then as for why we don't see more of them walking around,
Hmm.
I would guess that a lot of them are with the Abyss. If
Yeah.
they're sound of mind, it sounds like the Abyss sibling is there, and possibly some other people might have encountered the Sinner. And then
Yeah.
we do know that Clothar found a way to die somehow. We don't know how,
Yeah.
but he did. So
He sort of got out the curse basically. Yeah.
if he figured it out, who's to say someone else didn't?
Hmm. Also, that means Rhine
True.
daughter is also a pure blood Kandrian, right? Because she's been around and she's not a hilly child as far as I know. I mean, if we are to take what Albedo said is true.
We don't know if we don't have a character model or much information on her outside of like
Mm,
lore tidbits, and she could be like Alice and Klee,
hmm.
where
Yeah,
they're like
that's
a
true.
race that lives for a
Yeah,
long
she's
time,
just
regardless.
immortal. Yeah, true, 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 true. Hmm.
So
Also,
many.
I wonder if the curse is geographical or like they can get cursed if they're anywhere. Like just their
My
like if
my
yeah.
interpretation of it was that if you are from Conria, pure blooded, etc., that regardless
Hmm.
of where you were, the curse will get to you. But also, if you defected from your country and you were like, I want to go somewhere where there aren't any gods, then the gods would
Hmm.
have also been upset at you.
Hmm.
But if you were, say, like a traveling spice merchant who told them things, you're probably fine, unless you were
Yeah,
there that day.
true.
Yeah, so yeah, because that is an interesting point because like I kind of was under the impression that magically, if you had Conrian blood in you, you would
Hmm.
because they're so against Conrians being against the gods that
Hmm.
like you were just cursed wherever you are, doesn't matter. Like that was my impression. Like at by that point, there seems to have not been that many ancient civilizations anyway. Like,
Hmm.
because they all like kind of got destroyed at different times, right? Like the different civilizations, like where the nails are, like the celestial nails
Hmm.
are.
Yeah.
Um, so like it's not like I kind of don't imagine that um like someone in Enconomia was like a Conrian and then they just like turned randomly because something was happening over in Conria. Like I don't imagine that because I kind
Hmm.
of imagine that all the Conrians were kind of just there already. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
anybody that got affected by the curse that would have been affected by the curse was in Conria at that time. That's kind of just how I imagine it, and it could be totally off. And there's definitely room for people who weren't Conrian, but they weren't in Conria at the time, like were they affected? But then that would imply that there are other pure blood or Conrian people, not pure blood, maybe, that
Hmm.
had kids and stuff, and that like kept going and their bloodline kept going without being affected by the
Hmm.
curse whatsoever. So you're saying there could be Conrians around that are not cursed. And to me that feels
Yeah.
like it goes against the magic of this curse that like
Hmm.
anybody who has the blood should just be turned. Like that's like the magic. It's like sucks for you if you're Conrian and you don't live in Conria, but you're now cursed because you have the blood. And I feel
Hmm.
like there was no choice in that matter. So, maybe that's part of it.
Yeah. That's true. I feel like okay, I don't think I have much to back this theory, but I feel like even though both Dane and Clotar believe that the gods cursed Kandria, I feel like they didn't, like they have it wrong. Like whatever happened to the Kandrians is probably more of an effect of like the abyssal energy around them, whatever happened, which caused the gods to come and sort of like go at Kandria, but I don't think the gods curse them. Because Genshin sort of has this habit, right? Like when you start the game, you think the Abyss Order is bad, and then they tell you, no, actually the Abyss Order were the good guys. Celestia is sort of really bad, and then you believe this for a long time, and then they'll eventually be like, no, actually Celestia wasn't so bad. They were just trying to help these people.
I mean, regardless of intention, uh, you can try to do good and still end up being bad. Like we were
Yeah.
talking about the sky nails.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
Right.
if anybody's unfamiliar with divine nail lore, it's thought that it's the primordial one uh, sent them down to heal the land following the
Yeah.
war between
Yeah.
them and the second who came. But in trying to heal the land, they did end up devastating the mortal population. And
Yeah.
so, even though they did that in an act of kindness or benevolence or hoping to heal, they did end up causing destruction.
Yep.
So, even though, uh, kind thoughts, bad actions type of deal.
That's true. It's hard to tell. We
Like
know so
I'll
little
give you
about
mercy.
Celestia. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
repeat
I
what you
mean, we
said,
still
John?
don't know. Oh, I just said like, mercy through death. Like, I want to help you, so I'm going to kill you. Like that kind of thing.
Oops.
Um yeah, so like what's it called? So Celestia, I mean, we still don't know, right? If you think about the Teyvat flipped around theory, like we could be the bad guys, we could be the good guys thinking that we're good guys working for good guys, but we're actually working for bad guys. So and I think that that's what our abyssal sibling kind of hopes that we will conclude at some point because they said you'll
Hmm.
figure it out and
Yeah.
you'll know why I'm on this side. And like while
Hmm.
we're meeting all these people and we're friends with them and everything, um, like maybe like they're actually not who we think they are, and so that's
Hmm.
why their sibling is like, "You'll come here. You'll come over here. I know you will. Once you find out and you do it yourself." So really weird. I don't know why the sibling just I mean, there wouldn't be a
Didn't
game,
tell
but it's
us.
like, why didn't
Yeah.
the sibling just tell us more stuff? Like, you know what
I
I mean?
know,
Like,
right?
tell us more stuff. Like, why doesn't Dane's Love tell us literally anything? I don't know, because there wouldn't be a game if that was the case. Everybody
It's
has to be
it's like
mysterious.
we have to travel across the world. Yeah, like we have to
Mhm.
travel across it. Yeah, that yeah, it's really weird. I don't know. Like it's set in stone, the journey that we have, which our sibling has already gone through. Yeah.
Mhm.
Lovely manager, Ashley, pointed out a question in chat to me. Somebody,
Mhm.
Fox with Wings says maybe they were trying to close the fabric of Tivat that would open into the abyss, and somebody else says, isn't the abyss part of Tivat, three realms? Uh,
Hmm.
and that's interesting because the three realms of Tevat are the human realm, the light realm, and the void or abyss realm. Uh,
Mhm.
and so technically, right now we're residing in the human realm, and abyss and abyssal powers come from the void or abyss realm, and then
Yeah.
elemental powers come from the light realm or the celestial realm. And so even though they're all connected, they're like imagine a fidget spinner.
Mhm.
It is all technically connected, but like all of the three parts are distinct. So yes, Fox with Wings makes a good point that there could be consequences to the abyss being connected to
Hmm.
the human
Yeah.
realm.
I just love that. Like, all right, let's talk about Genshin lore. Okay, so imagine a fidget spinner. This is like Genshin lore.
This isn't Genshin
They're
lore. This is
spinning,
real life
spinning
lore.
in constant harmony,
This
but
Yep.
they never touch each other, but they're all connected. I love that. That's so good.
this is real life lore. The Catholic Church declared fidget spinners uh, to be heretical because somebody used them to explain like the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Holy Trinity thing, and
Oh
Uh huh.
God.
someone up top was like, "We don't like that." And I remember thinking, "This is so ridiculous," and so that stuck with me, and that's why I've now used it to explain the 3 realms.
That's why fidget spinner analogies live rent free in your head. I got it.
Exactly. And enkanomiya is the part that you put in your finger on your finger to spin it. It's right in the
Yep,
middle of the
yep.
3 realms.
It is
What the
though.
heck? No,
Yep.
your finger is the spiral abyss.
My finger is the
Your
spiral
finger.
abyss, but the part on top of my finger that's in between the 3 realms, that's enkanomiya, and that's why we have it's shaped like a triangle, and, like, there's the 3 realm gates. That's why,
Hmm.
because it's in the middle of all 3, without
Oh
even
yeah, there you
belonging
go.
to
The
any one
three
of them.
realm gateway. Oh my god, amazing.
What do you guys think the spiral abyss is? Like, what are your theories on that?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean,
Loaded question.
that is like a really loaded question. I don't know. Like, what do you want to start, Gina?
Well, we've all, of course, heard of the sky is fake, Divad is upside down type of theories.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who doesn't know, it's kind of like uh, imagine a hamster wheel. I'm very
Oh.
bad. And usually you would think of like the center of the hamster wheel being where people live, and then the sky being like the outer part of the hamster wheel. And here it's
Mhm.
flipped, kind of like donut, inside out donut type of thing, where
Mhm.
we're standing on the hamster wheel and the center is the fake sky. And then Spiral
Mm.
Abyss allows you to like go beyond the hamster wheel and access the rest of the world. And so I think
Yeah.
Spiral Abyss is like Stairway to Heaven type of thing, where it
Mm.
lets you move between realms.
Hmm.
What
Yeah,
about
but
you, Josh?
only like within like a within that contained space almost.
Hmm.
Um, like it's kind of like I imagine it as like sort of there's like glass elevators where you're like going up the elevator and you can see like outside on the side of a building or something. I don't know if you've ever seen those before, but like you're seeing like you're kind of getting a taste of like the environment around you without actually going out and being there. Like maybe you can, I don't know, but the spiral abyss when you go through it is like what Gina's saying, like passing through the different realms is what I
Hmm.
feel like. But you can only go in one way and come out one way. Is what it feels like to me. Like you don't just like we don't just bypass realms by going to the spiral abyss and then going out a door on the other end and going, "Hi, I'm in a different realm now." Like I don't know if it's that simple, um, but yeah, it's really abstract. I think the spiral abyss like concept because I mean, it's not really clear what it is because we don't have a clear picture of how these realms are actually connected. Unless
Mm.
we start bringing in like the imaginary tree and like all this stuff from Honkai that like might help to understand that. I think.
It's really fun that you would
Um.
mention the imaginary tree because on the symbol
Hmm.
of like the spider abyss on the map, there's literally a tree on
Hmm.
it.
The
It's very
tree.
weird.
I know.
What is the tree doing
Yeah,
there? What is that? Like, is that the Irminsul? Is that another tree that we don't know about?
it's so
Yeah,
sus. Like
it
it's
is
so
so
sus.
sus.
Speaking of trees, like in Dainsleif,
Mhm,
I remember there was this like Tevat Historia video that
mhm,
really like got me, and I actually interviewed him about it here on this podcast. But that like if you like what Dainsleif's relation to Irminsul is, like you were saying earlier that he has like elements of Irminsul in him, and that might
mhm,
be like the
mhm.
curse, but like it also looks like he's kind of connected to Irminsul visually.
Yep.
Um, his title as the bow keeper can be
Yeah.
interpreted as like a branch keeper. Like it could be the tree keeper also, which is fine.
Mhm,
But let's say the theory of like being able to erase a branch from Irminsul, like the way that Lord Rukadevada was erased,
mhm.
um, for the to preserve the tree. But what if you can add a branch onto the tree and
Like like a false
rewrite?
memory.
Yes, like give false memories to everyone thinking that something happened the way it
Mhm.
did, and that one of Dainsleif's jobs is to keep the branch that he added to the tree
Mhm.
intact.
Yeah.
To keep that information from being taken away or rewritten, and how
Mm.
that relates to the traveler. Because your sibling, your sibling supposedly looks like they can be affected because they're not considered a descender by Nahida
Yeah.
standards or by the
Yeah.
Fatui standards. So is that because her branch was added to the tree, so now she's connected to the tree, which means that if something is erased from the memories of the Irminsul, then
Mm.
actually your sibling is affected, but you're not. Which is why
Yeah.
you're deemed separate. So, you know, how is um Dainsleif related? Like why like what is his role as the bow keeper? Like what does that mean?
Mhm.
And then now I'm thinking just from saying this out loud, how does that relate to the Hexen Circle and their whole idea of like being
Mhm.
keepers of what happens to the Airman Soul, right?
Maybe Dainsleif is a part of the Texan circle.
Dainsleif is
He's
actually just Alice.
yeah, he's just like a part-time witch, on his off
Yeah.
time when he's not around, other
I
than
mean,
that one event we have.
we already know she can imitate other people, so if she's just gonna craft a
Yeah.
whole new persona, this is making sense. I'm on board. I've got my tinfoil
Hey,
hat on.
hey,
I
the
mean,
Dainsleif clothes, I don't know, it looks kind of like Mona's to me.
yeah, he's. I mean, like, what's to say he's not? It's so hard to tell. We haven't seen Alice and Dainsleif in the same place, have we?
Yeah,
We haven't seen
exactly.
Alice, period.
We haven't seen Alice, period. So,
Yeah, that's true.
oh my god, so funny, guys. I've
Yeah,
never seen D-Luke and the Dark Knight in the same place.
yeah, I know, right?
I don't know if you guys subscribe to like absolute crack theories, but
Uh
remember
huh.
in the first Golden Apple Archipelago quest when she said, "Oh, I've been visiting every so often. Have you noticed it's me?" Alice did. People were
Hmm.
like, "Oh, she's that purple merchant from Inazuma who trades
Yeah.
cabbages for primogems," and
Oh
that's
my
one of my
god, that's
top
so.
5 favorites.
Oh my dude, she's leaving.
That would make a lot of sense. Like, I don't know why, but that actually does make a lot of sense. It's possible. Like, why not? She
Like,
just
"Hey,
dresses
Clee,
up, shows up. Yeah.
Clee, your mom's leaving." "I know she's leaving." "No, no, she's leaving." "I already said I know she's leaving."
Oh my god, it's
Oh
like every time I see
God.
her, she's leaving.
Ugh.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm subscribed to this idea. Oh man, where can I give subs to this? um, so Yeah, like I really think like Dainsleff, like you said, I think it's so interesting because Dainsleff unlocks the story. Like he really
Mm,
progresses our understanding of Teyvat. And I think so the closest thing that I felt we've had in the story to something as like mind blowing as all the Dainsleff quests is the Nahida quest. Is the
mm,
like and I say the Nahida story quest, but I also mean by extension Scaramouche's story quest because like the Wanderer story quest because like those just go hand in hand. They kind of happen right after each other. Um but like the Nahida storyline really like turned the world on its head for us. And this
mm,
like whole talk of the sinner and like being able to experience our abyss siblings past um like through their eyes was just like a huge again like turn on your head kind of thing.
yeah.
So I'm curious like what the next big reveal is going to be and how Fontaine plays a part because Fontaine supposedly being right under Celestia and we have this like god of judgment and I don't know, supposedly I don't know where I heard this or like what, but like, this is supposed to be like a turning point in the story is like what I heard, like
Mm,
maybe just like timeline wise because the game has been out for X amount of time and the game is planned to be finished around X amount of time, maybe that's why people think that. But um
mm,
I feel like there is I feel like I personally at this point cannot imagine what would happen because it's very possible that we get skewed off of our journey to visit the seven nations and we end
yeah.
up following a different path that leads us to the seven nations different ways, but instead of because up until now we've been looking for our sibling and then
Mm,
after we found our sibling we've just been looking for answers. We don't really have like a goal right now. We just kind of fell into the Sumeru story on
mm,
accident. So what if our next step is to find out more information. So like are we going to get involved in some like huge plot line that's involving Fontaine, or are we going to get involved in a huge plot line that starts in Fontaine and then leads us through the rest of the story?
mm,
Because I feel like in the main story there hasn't been enough cliffhangery stuff since
mm.
Sumeru,
True,
like
true.
like since the end of the Nahida stuff. Everything has just been extra stuff that tells us about Sumeru, like oh my god, the Golden Slumber quest and
Mhm.
Yoimiya story quest, like
Mm.
so, I mean, what do you think? Like in Fontaine, Pixie, like what do you want to see? Like what is something that you're hoping to see?
Honestly, until now, all of like, despite how we met all the Archons, none of them have done that much harm to us. Like even
Mm-hmm.
in Inazuma, sure, Raiden Shogun's puppet was like kind of violent with us when we
Yeah, she
fought
almost killed
her.
us twice, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, but we somehow managed to escape that. Like, will we even the puppet, right? Like, she's not inherently evil, right? Like, her motivations are very different. Like, she's wired a certain way. That's why she behaves like that. When we meet A was very, very chill. Obviously, she didn't care about anything. But I really wonder, like, will in Fontaine, what if we meet like a really like villain sort of archon who genuinely wants to do something evil, like who's not good at all. And like especially it would be such a contrast to like Nahida, because Nahida is the nicest archon we've met until now. She's helped us the
Yeah.
most. Yeah.
I like how she says when you see her in the in Yoimiya story quest
Mm,
and you're looking in the academy the
yeah,
academia and then she's like, why not ask the Archon who tells you everything she knows or
yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. And I was like, oh my god, Nahida, right on cue.
Yeah. Like she's always got us. She always helps us out. Yeah. So I wonder if we'll have a real, like, very uh like violent sort of fight with an Archon where we don't agree with them at all and we sort of don't end up making up with
Mm.
them. Yeah. Because as far as I know, like until now, there are a lot of hints of like unrest in Fontaine. Like there's an energy
Mm-hmm.
crisis, there's like socio-political issues, and like even though the Archon does exist, I mean, we don't know who's in charge over there, right? It's hard to tell.
Right.
So perhaps I don't know. I think I just want some like really like dramatic stuff to go down. Probably, yeah. That's my main
Yeah, I
expectation.
remember someone's like uh idea was what if what if this next Archon, like, we just actually don't like, we're not made to like them,
Yeah,
like, we're
yeah,
supposed to hate them, and then how it would be interesting seeing how we get them on our side, because like you
hmm,
said, all the Archons have been pretty nice up until now.
yeah,
So, yeah, what do you think, Gina?
I think that based on all of the clues that we've been granted about Fontaine thus far, it looks like it's gonna be like a bureaucracy that's completely based off of the laws, and uh,
hmm,
the Hydro Archon's final word is law. So I
hmm,
think it's gonna be interesting to see like somebody who makes the laws but who doesn't necessarily understand their citizens. Uh, you know, uh, kind of Les Mis type of things where, oh, you
yeah,
stole a loaf of bread. I don't care if it was to feed your starving family. I'm going to sentence you to 15 years in prison. To people being like, you're not being reasonable. We can't afford bread. Somebody help us. And the Archon being like, them's the rules, kid. I'm so sorry. I'm not. And then, having to deal with that and seeing how we can make an Archon who is sure of themselves and absolutely positive that they're doing the right thing, see that
hmm,
uh, flexibility is a good thing. Hydro is and water is inherently like very flexible. It's not made to be broken, much like laws. And so seeing
hmm,
them learn to be versatile will be very interesting.
hmm. That's true. What about you? What do you want to see? Um,
Josh, it's okay.
yes, yes. I
um
was I was gonna say Josh, and then I was like, okay, should I say JSide? I felt
oh, either
confused and
one.
I buffered in my
E-
brain. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Either one. If you can't decide and your brain is in between two, you can just say J
Yeah.
too, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
um so yeah, I mean, I agree. I want to see like drama. I would love to see the history of like the why the old Archon got cast out, like that whole like thing. Um
Hmm.
and okay, I kind of hate Oceanids like from fighting that boss specifically, um like the water boss in Leeway for a long time. But like I don't I'm honestly I gotta be upfront. I'm like a huge Phoenix Wright fan. So I wanna see I wanna see some courtroom action is what I wanna
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
And I wanna see a blatant reference to Phoenix Wright where they say objection and they point like with the thing. Um but yeah, I'm really trying to go in with like zero expectations because I want to be blown away. um,
Mm,
but in terms of like what I want to see, yeah, I would love to see courtroom stuff. I would love to see something related to the technology that makes it special. Um, I don't know. Like honestly, like after Sumeru, like there's just no way I
mm,
could guess like what's gonna happen because like there's no way I could have guessed any of that was gonna happen. It was like really a totally different story experience up
yep.
until what we had. Like it was literally fetch quests, like go here, fight this, go here, like for all of Liyue and Mondstadt basically, for the Archon quest, from what I can remember.
Yep.
And then we got to Sumeru. It was like, I mean, Inazuma was cool, and then, but it was like, it was a lot of like going to the islands and all this stuff. But then Sumeru was just like boom, and they're like, they did the whole thing. They did the repeating your time loop Groundhog Day sort
Yep.
of deal where you just go through the story, and it was crazy. So I'm just hoping for more craziness that
Yeah.
I'm just
The
not expecting.
I think Sumeru's writing, like, it set the expectations really high for what's to come for sure. Yeah, I would be disappointed if the story isn't as good as Sumeru because I do
Yeah,
expect a lot from it. Yeah.
yeah.
I
That's the only thing. It's like it should be better. I hope, right?
Yeah, I hope so too. Yeah.
I think we have a lot of things to look forward to. I got an idea from chat. Somebody says that a line that Oceanit repeats a lot is that water strength is its ability to take any shape, and before it creates the
Mm-hmm.
water mimics. And
Mm-hmm.
in different events we've gotten throughout the years, it's been heavily hinted that one of the reasons the Oceanit uh, left Fontaine is disagreements with the Hydro Archon,
Hmm.
and we're learning more about the Hydro Archon and Fontaine and like rigid laws and how laws are the only thing that matters. And so I think that
Yep.
seeing that contrast, water's ability to take any shape, and the oceanid's philosophy, more or less, contrasts with the
Mm.
current state it's in, will be a lot of fun to explore.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how they play off of just water in general, like you were saying earlier, like the concept of that and the nation itself. Um, because they did the lightning thing in Inazuma a little bit.
Yep.
So like that the fear and um the judgment, the fear of being judged so harshly, and um yeah, I'm really curious to see if they emphasize that as much as maybe we want them to.
They,
But
Mm.
yeah.
I think probably will because they've done that in all the nations so far. You know, Venti, wind being the god of freedom, and then
Yeah.
Mhm.
Liyue with rock with Geo, and the Ashtaha story quest showing us how
Mm.
even rock can't resist erosion, and then Dendro being the element of plants and growth, and then
Mm.
Oh,
seeing
true.
go from like Lil Baby Archon kept in Lil Baby Archon jail to like full blown taking care of her people Archon. They definitely
Well, for the leeway one, like you said, like Azdaha, but like so Azdaha's story, I believe, is required story quest, like the second story quest for Zhongli.
sure,
Mm.
yeah.
But how would you say that Liyue's element was represented in the main Archon quest up until that point, like until the end of the Archon quest line? Because that came out after the fact.
Yes, well, I would say to that that when we ask Zhongli at the end why he's choosing to step down, he said that uh, he saw a merchant once, I think, that was retiring, and he went, I kind of want to
Mm.
retire too. But then when you're like, that's it, that's the big reason you decided to fake your own death, and he's just like, look, even rocks and mountains cannot will eventually
Yeah.
succumb to erosion. Uh,
I see.
yeah,
Mm.
that type of thing, and Geo being unmoving for so
Yep.
long. You know, he was the oldest Archon up until that point because he recognized his own uh, things.
Yeah,
Mm.
Zhongli rocks.
A
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're almost done. We have like about 10 minutes left. Is there anything else you want to mention that you want to get off of your chest, like something you've been thinking about Genshin recently, Pixie, that you want to share with us here?
Mm. I just hope the story of Fontaine is sort of spread out across all the patches so that like we don't feel what we're feeling now. Like right now, the last 2 3 patches at Genshin is mostly like a new area releases, but the main story is sort
Filler.
of just
Yeah.
like and it's sort of become a thing with Genshin. I just wish that slowly like figure out a way to release the story in a way that we can experience parts of it throughout, and then we're not stuck with 2 patches there's nothing to do. Like some people just play for that, and then I mean it feels really empty sometimes. Yeah.
Like I said, if divine ingenuity stays permanently.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like that's a good point. Like they definitely kind of, oh no, it almost feels like they rush the story and then they just have filler and they just like let us sit there for a little bit. And
Yep.
I think it's important because like I guess it depends on the story, because they will, for example, because we finished the story, it made sense for us to like do other stuff. Like
Hmm.
if we hadn't finished the Archon quest, we couldn't like do the inner Darshan event.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Because no one would be able to do that because everybody would be still worried about what's happening in the main story.
Yeah.
So I think it's really really tough to balance spreading
Mm.
out the entire patch, but also having fun events that don't have to do with the main Archon quests because the
Yeah.
characters are unavailable because they're busy with dealing with the main story stuff. So
Mm.
yeah, so if they could find a balance and a way to keep it interesting, or even make the fun events like more interesting, and
Yeah.
last longer or something, like give us character second story quests like with the Oimiyas, right? If we
Yeah.
had a story quest, even a hangout, if we had a hangout and story quest every patch, like or one or the other every patch, I would not even say there's
Mm.
not enough story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what about you, Gina? Is there anything you want to mention lastly, like just talk about on the podcast? You want to get Pixie's thoughts on something?
Yeah. Uh, Pixie, you talked about how you feel that the story was kind of rushed for Sumeru, and we've been kind of like floundering around for a while.
Mm.
When they released Inazuma, they were kind of slowly releasing more islands up until
Mm.
Enkanomiya was the last one that came out, and then a few patches later, we got the Enkanomiya event. Uh,
Mm.
do you think Hoyoverse handled it better with Inazuma?
No, I don't think Sumeru's story was as rushed as in fact, I didn't like that about Inazuma too. They rushed the main Archon quest. Like the first patch was just build up, and the second patch was like they went over it really quickly. But in comparison to that, Sumeru actually was very stretched out. Like I remember the main Archon quest was really long too, even longer than what we had in Inazuma for sure. What I feel
Mm-hmm.
is whatever, so they have been releasing regions, right? Like they've been releasing part of the desert, like with each patch you get a new part. I just wish there was more story to it as well. I think it's just the fact that so many of these world quests, and I love the world quest, by the way. I think Sumeru is my favorite region for even the NPCs. Like all of the world quests had such interesting NPCs in them as well, and they were just
Mm.
not voiced. It felt so empty to do that. Like I love Jet's
Yeah.
like entire arc. It was such a beautiful story, and we didn't even get to hear her. It really that was annoying almost, because
Wait, we didn't
I
get
would have
what?
just uh like the desert quest, Golden Slumber and the follow up after
Right.
that. Yeah, if it was voiced, it would have so much life in it. It was such a good
I
story. It
know.
still did stay with me, but I wish it was voiced. Even the Aranara stuff, that would
And
be
Yeah.
nice.
to add on to that, I have Nahida, and everybody who has her knows if you use her
Yeah,
E on like NPCs in Sumeru, they're all voiced,
They're all
and it's
voiced. Yep.
beautiful.
yeah,
Not in the Golden Slumber quest.
yeah,
Like you can
yeah,
read their thoughts, but you can't hear them, and I
yeah.
was devastated.
It hurts. It really does. Like in
Yeah.
the
It's like it's
golden,
so a waste.
yeah, in the golden slumber, like a lot of the story is about Jet's relationship with her father, right? And there's this really beautiful scene where he's singing to her, and you just have to read it off of screen. Like you just
Oh, that's the worst.
it really got. I was like, what are you saying? What do you mean? Am I supposed to imagine the tune of the song? Like it really hurt me because it was such an emotional moment. Like what a way to ruin it, really. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just wish,
And
but
like
then
and
I get
depending on
it.
where you are in the game, like the time of day, there might be like no music or there might be like
Yeah,
music, it's like not fitting or it's so random.
yep. I just wish that was better. It would have been nice. I really like the world quest, but they don't have the level of like they don't have the music or the voices that the main quests have, and it just yeah, it kind of takes away from the experience. I feel I wish they would do something about that, but I think it's too much to ask, honestly.
Put
I
it
don't
in the
I don't
surveys. Put
see.
it in the survey.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
right
actually
now,
talked
right?
about it in the surveys.
Like there's a survey for us to fill out in Genshin right now. I think. Am I
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yep,
Yeah,
there
I
is.
think it's about divine ingenuity, but
I mean, you can always put in comments at the end.
Yeah.
oh, true, true, that's right. Yeah, I'll probably do that.
Yep.
Also, in the follow up to the Golden Slumber quest, there was the woman who was the hawk, the eagle. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah. I do remember her. Yes, the
Mhm.
blonde woman. Yes.
Yes, and then we find out her origin story
Yeah.
with the most recent patch with the scattered notes about what happened
Yep.
to her parents and how she came to
Yep.
be brought there. And after reading that, I'm just like, man, I wish she was voiced.
Yeah.
I want her to like have even more depth.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, please give us voices. I've actually talked to the and been in a class with the voice actor because I do voice acting.
Mm-hmm.
I the voice director, one of the second seat voice director for Genshin, I had a class with,
Mm-hmm.
and he mentioned that like sometimes like for like I'm assuming this was for Nahida's thing, but like sometimes they just get like an order from like me like from Mihoyo that says like we need like 86 NPCs voiced for like one voice line, and then they have to go get a bunch of different people
Yeah.
to do like voices. Like, you know, they do it when they need to do it, but I wonder what decides like who gets voiced and who doesn't, and
Mhm.
why they've decided that these major world quests that take a long time to complete and have a lot of dialogue are not voiced. Like, obviously the company has the money to do it. I just
Mm,
wonder
yep.
what makes them decide that they don't do it. So I'm hoping in the future. I am even hoping that they retroactively go back and add voices. I would literally play through
Mhm.
it again.
Yes.
But
Same.
just in case you're because we're talking about this specifically, there is the guy who makes Genshin cinematic content on YouTube,
Yeah,
Subutai. I think
Subutai.
it's
Yep, yep, yep.
yeah, he's making a Jet's story quest with like full voice acting
Mm.
video. So I actually applied for Azuric. I auditioned for Azuric, but
Oh.
yeah, it was pretty great. I didn't get it, but like he said, like, oh, I should like use you in the future. That'd be really cool. I was like, cool, thanks. But basically, the trailer is out. You can go check it out, and
Hmm.
I'm going to
maybe
after
that'll
this
be
podcast.
yeah, maybe that'll be a
Yeah,
little bit of redemption
I
for
did.
us as a fan
It
community.
was really good. Like I watched it, and it was quite nice. Yep.
Hmm. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah. Anyway, so we're wrapping into the end of our podcast. We talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about Daneslef. We talked about the twins. We talked about Albedo, Hexenzirkel. So many things. Pixie, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Oh, we talked about Enkonomiya as well. Um, and yeah, like hopefully we'll see in the future what
Yeah.
happens, Fontaine, etc. We'll be sure to follow you. Everyone, make sure you follow Pixie if you're not already following on YouTube and on Twitter and all the socials, Twitch as well. And we will, yeah, thank you all for listening. And thank you, Pixie, for being a guest.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you, Gina, also
And happy you
for
guys enjoyed my metaphors.
Yeah. They were really
yes. Oh my
good.
gosh,
They were very on point. Yep.
fidget
We
spinners,
loved
man.
it. Yeah.
Remember the fidget spinner.
We love
I
to see
can't
it.
forget that. Yep.
Right. And one more time, I just want to give another shout out to Soph CQ and Reyes for making the Genshin Impact chibis and the podcast stage that we have going on here, the Sumeru theme. Again, we'll post Soph CQ's links and things in the chat as well as Reyes. But it's really great. Going forward, we're going to be using this stage for all of our Genshin stuff. Should be really fun. And I hope you all enjoyed and hope to see you all again in another podcast. So thank you everyone. We're going to end the stream. And hope to see you soon. Bye bye everyone.
Bye bye.